Anyway, green flag is waved at the back. 20-minute race ahead of us for the Armed Forces race challenge. Red lights are on. And they go out. Away we go. Lots of power to be put down by John Cobley in that Seat. And also for Mark White in the Honda. And Adam Jewis has made a decent start, actually, in the BMW 125. And he's got there through in third place. The Mazda MX-5 of Gareth Moss kicks up a bit of dust on the exit of Oulton corner as well. But it is Mark White that has got the lead as they head down to Cascades in the number 65 Honda from number 47 John Cobley, and Adam Jewis still there in third place, still with his hazards going as they make their way out of Cascades down the Lakeside Straight and on towards the island sweeper, the left-hand sweeper for the first time. And there's the little 35 Richard Brown Toyota MR2 as well. But it's unsurprisingly Johnny Mark White that leads this race.
Yeah, I did try and chase down John Cobley during the lunch break to find out precisely what the various issues he's been suffering from with the Seat Ibiza Cupra have been, but he was nowhere to be seen, unfortunately. So clearly, whatever the latest issue was, there's a spin there at the Britain chicane for the 67 BMW, and it's going to hit the tyre barrier reasonably firmly. In fact, that's more than just tyre barrier. Armco behind it as well for the 67 car, and it will be able to rejoin by the looks of things. So that is a brave attempt to head back into the race for Tom Sykes. Yeah, just to finish the point about Cobley's Seat, it came to a halt. It was in the restarted version of the race after earlier on there was a stoppage, and the blue with the black bonnet number 47 got as far as, well, Cascades pretty much, but then had to turn right and into retirement. But it's looking a lot more, well, I don't want to put any sort of kibosh on it. It is running for the time being here.
It is. It's in better health than the barrier is, let's say that much.
True.
Right, we'll see how this goes as Gareth Moss there in the 26 Mazda MX-5 makes his way through. There's Adam Jewis. I think he's in third, but he's so far behind the first two. Then it's in fourth position Jonathan Candler, number 1. So he's the next car through in fourth place. Fifth is 888 Chris Pauly. 78 is Paul Chapman in sixth. And then a move being made here is by James Flint on the inside of Ian Cooper in the Daewoo Nexia. Yes, it is. And so James Flint goes through into 7th position at the start of lap 2.
So a nice little place change there at Denton's, the right-hand kink, as the road drops away from these runners and then delivers you into the apex at Cascades. But it's very easy to get the exit of that corner slightly wrongly if you pop up onto the crown of the road, because it's almost giving you a choice to head onto the grass there. But nicely avoided by the blue Clio, heading the Josh McClelland Honda Civic, the bright yellow car, which will pop into sight now at Shell Oils. And in fact, the Civic almost being overtaken at that corner. 888 is Chris Pauly's Clio, and he has a newer shaped Clio right on his boot lid then. They are absolutely neck and neck, heading over Hilltop. But Mark White, Chalky White, leading the way by 1.4 seconds at the end of the previous lap. And again, Clio's getting almost level on the brakes there into the second chicane on the lap, into Hislops, and now out of Knickerbrook to head back towards the final few corners. That's sideways for McClelland though, and he's going to spin, thankfully, to safety, and just some plastic boxes there. Reverse lights come on, that's neat. And now he'll be able to do maybe a 3-point turn to rejoin the race, but so easy on these coldish tyres, and not exactly road-going tyres, but they do have tread, so therefore without being a slick tyre there's a little bit of grip being at a premium, and so proved there by the older shaped Civic.
Indeed so. There though is the 888 car of Chris Pauly in his Clio 182, 30-year-old RAF pilot from Cardiff, been racing since 2016. Some low-cost racing and, of course, the Armed Forces. It's a 2-litre car, this one, but built by himself. He's owned it for the past couple of years, and he's just ahead there of number 78, Paul Chapman, who lists Oulton Park as his favourite circuit, the 46-year-old Army officer from Besford. So it's an inter-services battle, RAF versus Army, the battle between Chris Pauly versus Paul Chapman. You can see Paul Chapman's got the sort of camo Army livery on the side of his car as well, looking very smart indeed. and he's in 6th position at the moment. They're both in the same class. They're disputing 2nd and 3rd within their class, Class C, behind the car of Jonathan Candler, who's really the man to beat in that particular class. The class is, as we said earlier on, based on power to weight ratios rather than anything else, and the particular class that they are in, watching John Cobley once again, is for cars of up to 180 brake horsepower per tonne. Class D is for 135, and classes A and B for 300 and 240 respectively. But Class C, I think, probably the most popular of the classes out there this weekend.
So Paul Chapman still can't find a way by Chris Pawley's 888 car. They, in the first qualifying session, or I beg pardon, in the race earlier on, they were separated by a reasonably distant margin, but this is an awful lot closer. Pawley finished 3rd in race 1, Paul Chapman down in 7th. I think that was reasonably incident-packed the 20 minutes earlier for the black Clio with the camouflage doors, as you mentioned. So heading through Druids, they're just getting slightly further apart now, but I'm impressed with the well, fairly consistent running for both of these Clios of different vintage. And then further down the road, that's not a Clio, that's a Ford Fiesta of James Flint, the ST150 car number 935, who actually finished between those two Clios in the earlier result.
There we go, and there is Sykes on his drive back through the field then. He was off at Britain's on the opening lap of the race. He's trying to regain some of the ground that he lost. Meanwhile, still this battle going on amongst the Clios. James Flint now on his own, really, in 7th place in the number 935 Fiesta ST. These two Clios doing battle for 5th position. Yeah, James Flint behind them in his ST150 with a 2-litre Duratec engine aboard. These two for 5th and 6th make their way through. How far behind Candler are they? Quite a long way, 9 seconds or so adrift of their Class C leader. A reminder though that it's not about ultimate pace that counts in the Armed Forces Race Challenge. You need to be consistent to pick up maximum points, because it's the performance index on which points are awarded and championships are decided in the Armed Forces Race Challenge, and that basically means your total race time divided by your fastest lap time to just measure how consistent you are during the course of the race.
And that can be very difficult if you've got a quick car but you're bottled up behind, well, a number of other runners. It might be said that Paul Chapman in clear air could be a little quicker than Chris Pawley in this race. I don't think that was necessarily true earlier on, but if and when Chapman can wriggle free of the dark blue Clio, I suppose he needs to be careful then not to suddenly decrease the lap time significantly, because that will affect his consistency.
Yeah, certainly will. Turning their way through Druids now, up at the top of the circuit. You can see how it undulates, Oulton Park. They dip down, climb up, dip down, climb up, dip down again. It's certainly not flat here, anything like it at Oulton Park. So it's why one of the reasons why drivers enjoy coming up here, because the gradient change, it just makes the racing much more interesting. I don't know if you have the same phenomenon here as you do get at Cadwell Park with some drivers, where the undulations actually make the drivers feel a bit seasick at times, or motion sick, I guess, with the constant sort of direction and gradient changes.
The bit towards Lodge is like a rucked carpet, isn't it? It's almost as if it used to be dead flat, like a billiard table, but then slowly, you know, just the weathering of the land around has, I'm sure it has been up and down and undulating for many a year. It's built in parkland after all. Yeah. Although discussions here in the commentary box during the lunch break were, was there ever actually an airstrip here? Apparently there was, although it's never been an airfield. I do know before it became a racetrack, which was in the 50s, it was a US base ahead of, well, during the Second World War. So it has certainly a military background, Oulton Park, prior to becoming a race venue.
Military very well represented in this case, and the veterans as well. Coming into this weekend, it was the veterans actually that were topping the little championship that they contest between them. They were head of the RAF, the Navy and the Marines, and the Army were bringing up the rear, I'm afraid, in 4th place. Now, number 67 is into the pit lane, I can see. That's Thomas Sykes. He was the driver that was off into the barriers at Britain's on the opening lap of the race, and can tell you from looking at his car from the conference window, you can tell he's been off and hit something because there is damage to the front of his car. The right headlamp covers are missing. There you can just see him turning into the paddock, so he's out of the race now.
Plenty of curb taken by the MR2 Roadster of Richard Brown, which took a bit of a hop and a skip into the Britain chicane. Earlier on, the two Roadsters were not very far away from one another. And speaking of the devil, there is the little MGB, which is maybe 10 or so car lengths further up the road. A bit too deep into the second of the chicanes there for the Peugeot 306. And that is not the number one car, but the other Peugeot that is in this race. That will be the 230, heading up and over the crest then, and on towards, oh, is it 64? No, it's Harry Townsend, isn't it? Yeah, so 64 Harry Townsend in the Class C division. Clios are side by side coming out of Old Hall Corner and towards Denton's. So Chapman on the inside for Denton's, what will become the outside at Cascades. And it'll be tough, I was about to say, tough to go around the outside, but he's managed it on Chris Pawley. So the black car now ahead of the dark blue, and this battle far from over. Thankfully, we've still got just under 9 minutes to enjoy of this.
Absolutely right. It's the battle of the race, without a doubt, because out front, Mark White is leading by 4.9 seconds. John Copley is about half a minute then ahead of Adam Dewis. I don't know if Adam Dewis has still got his hazards on or not. He's in third place, and Jonathan Cander's 3 seconds behind him or so. The top two are the only drivers under a minute, and they're well under a minute as well. 1:55s they are both doing. Everyone else is 2 minute 2 plus at this stage of the race.
Triple Eight right over the grass there through the third bit of the Britain chicane. So Chris Pawley pushed it a bit too hard. Then I think he understeered off through the right-hander and didn't quite make it back to the track by the time he needed to be turning left. So jumped over a big divot. And let's hope that the suspension hasn't been damaged or compromised as a result of that. But the Clio 182 almost over Beecher's Brook, but does rejoin and has lost time as a result.
I think we've lost the number 47 car possibly as well, which is John Copley. So that's the car from second position that's out of the race now. Yeah, Adam Dewis is the car that's come through next, but John Copley has stopped at Cascade. So that's 2 retirements for him today, unfortunately. That's a great shame that he's not been able to bring the car home, which means it's Adam Dewis up to second, and now an even bigger lead for this man, Mark White, in his Honda Civic Type R, which sort of has one eye, doesn't it? It's got one headlamp which is uncovered and one that is. That gives it a slightly odd appearance. He's just coming up there to lap the Citroen Saxo, which is Lee Keneally in the number 92 car, the 38-year-old transport engineer from Swindon, and that was a bit hairy, wasn't it?
Yeah, just going around the outside of the Saxo, and White nearly, well, he sort of did run out of road, straddling the white line, which I know, as far as Motorsport UK rules are concerned, does mean that you're compromising the track limits. You need to keep all 4 tyres the legal side of the white line where possible. Yeah, I peered into those 3 little holes on the front left where the headlight should be, and it's just wiring in behind there. So I think maybe he's trying to source a spare Honda Civic headlight for the left-hand side of the car. And it's got kind of eye patch over it. Whilst, I mean, I don't know this for a fact, but it might be that, you know, spare parts are tough to find on a Civic of that age.
Maybe. So White is that continues to lead then, but by a long way. He's going to bring this car. I'm sure he would much prefer to have a closer race than this. I think that's often the case when you have drivers who do manage to sort of dominate and pull out a big win like this. They do say, well, I would have much preferred to have had a bit more of a race than I've had here. But nevertheless, there's great satisfaction to be gained by driving around this Oulton Park circuit. He's a great driver's favourite after all. So White well on his way around the next lap. Only now is Adam Dewis coming across the line in seconds. He does still have his hazards on. I don't know if he knows that, if he just can't find the button to turn them off again, maybe. But anyway, still circulating with those on. 43.5 seconds drift. There's the 15 car. That's George Harvey, the Hereford driver, in his Mini Cooper S. You can see he has the Novice Cross on the back of his car. And he is in 16th position at the moment, just behind Richard Brown in the Toyota MR2. Possible position change about to happen down towards Cascades maybe, because Gareth Moss is getting quite close to the back of James Flint. There we go, we can see those two on screen now. The white MX-5 with the green roll cage and James Flint in the blue ST150. They are 2 or 3 car lengths apart, Johnny, as they head through Cascades.
Yeah, a lick of flame from the exhaust of the Mazda on the gear change, as maybe just trying to work out, Gareth Moss trying to work out where his car is quicker and slower than the Ford Fiesta up ahead. Oh, and Moss has gone off though. He tried to steer left through Island Bend, and I wonder whether he might be going a bit too deep. Now, where is he going to end up, I wonder? Can he slow the car sufficiently? He's clearly lost ground. Yeah, he's back on the track, thank goodness, because the last time we saw a car heading in that direction, the next time it would reappear would be in the gravel trap in the all BMW race earlier in the day. But disaster avoided there, but a lot of time lost for Gareth Moss's all-white Mazda MX-5.
Yeah, that's for 4th and 5th position within Class C, 6th and 7th places overall as well. We've got we've got one Class A car left in the race. That's Andy Holmes in the MGB. He's in 13th position overall. Mark White is that leads Class B from Adam Dewis. Class C is being led by Jonathan Candler. Class D is being led by Luke Arpino. We've not seen all that much of during the course of the day. The 29-year-old RAF fabricator from London, workshop fabricator. Been racing for 3 or 4 seasons now. Based up at RAF Lossiemouth. He is in another MX-5. We'll perhaps see that at some point before the end of the race. We'll pick that one out if we can. But he's leading in Class D in 11th place overall, and well clear of any rivals within his class. Gareth Moss, meanwhile, continuing to try to recover after the off to Ireland half a lap ago.
Yeah, so heading up and back over the grid hatchings across the control line, and Mark White is almost 50 seconds clear now of Adam Dewis, but despite Dewis having those hazard lights on, the lap times are about right for what we saw in the qualification earlier in the day. He qualified in 3rd for the first race with a 2:01.4, and his best a 2:01.6. He's doing 2:02s at the moment, so there's clearly nothing wrong with that BMW 125i. The problem is he's about 6 seconds, sorry, way more than that, but 6 seconds clear of the Candler car, Jonathan Candler in the Peugeot, but trails, as we say, the race leader by the best part of 50 seconds. Busy down at Hislops, a couple of BMW 116s, and one catches the curve quite violently there. That's the 305 of Ben Seaton in his 116i. That suddenly jumped the car from one side of the road to the other. Is that the other Mazda MX-5 you were talking about?
Not that one, no, there's a few. But that one's Peter McNichol, the 68-year-old RF veteran from Lincolnshire. Been racing for about 10 seasons. He's out there in his Mark 1 MX-5. He's got that sort of impromptu roof over the top of him, and more or less just about keeps the rain out, I think, on the right kind of day. He's done some Super 1 karting in the past as well, and he's built this particular car over the period of about 10 years. So that's Peter McNichol in the number 14, the red Mazda MX-5 Mark 1. There's 1 minute and 20 seconds to go. I think there'll be one more lap at the end of this one for Mark White, who is just turning his way now through Knickerbrook, climbing up Clay Hill. So he'll get the time to get to the line and then start his 11th and final lap of the race. And this time it looks like, touch wood, it's going to be an uninterrupted race for the Armed Forces Race Challenge. I think probably the first one of those that they've had this season. James Flint has slowed in the 935 car, and that has allowed Gareth Moss through. It was a long lap for him that time, a 2:11, and as he goes past our commentary box, he's looking not quite in full fitness. That's the MX-5 I was talking about. That's Luke Arpino. He's just lapped by Mark White, who's got on to his final lap of the race. But yes, Luke Arpino in that number 22 MX-5 is leading Class D. He's handmade the roof of this car. It's a mixture of fiberglass and aluminium. So he's done this development work on the car himself. He had this car as a road car, but he's developed it for racing. He's also used it for auto tests up in Scotland as well, when he's been based up at Lossiemouth. So yeah, it's a car that's put a lot of love and effort into over the years, and his own sort of hard top design for it there.
Like a coach built Mazda MX-5, worthy of a Zagato type bodywork redress, perhaps. A Mazda MX-5 Zagato. No, we need to put the Arpino signature on it instead. Perhaps you could just add that as the suffix to the car type. Almost going to the route of 750 Formula, being able to build your own car or a revision of a road-going counterpart. It's over a minute now, the advantage for Chalky White over everybody else, and principally Adam Dewis, who runs in second place. So to say that they're in the same class is a bit of a stretch at this point. 10 laps done and 61 seconds up the road. This bright yellow Honda Civic, one-eyed it may be, but it's finding its way around Oulton Park very nicely indeed.
Okay, so we've got just a couple of corners to go now for Mark White. He's turning his way through. He's going to not quite lap, I don't think, James Flint by the end of this race. So he'll have lapped everyone up to and including 8th position, I think, in this race. So he's gone a long way up the order. So number 65, Mark Chalky White, man from Wantage, does lap James Flint, in fact, so he's not going to have to do one more lap, which is probably just well because his car's broken. He takes the checkered flag, does Mark White, once again to win another Armed Forces race, challenge race. Not really, unfortunately, had too much in the way of competition. Luke Arpino, he comes across the line flashing his lights to celebrate his Class M2, not Class M2, Class D victory. Wrong championship, Ian. And then also across the line has come Ben McLaughlin in the number 96 car, the 33-year-old from Runcorn, not too far away. Royal Marines Commando for the past 12 years. He's come across the line, as too has Joshua McClelland after his spin in that Honda Civic in the early part of the race. Andy Holmes comes through to win Class A in his MGB, and there is our second place man. And I've never seen someone drive the whole of a race with their hazard warning lights on before. It might be the best ever result by someone driving with their hazard warning lights on, Johnny.
I think it is, because normally they've been put on deliberately, whereas that was entirely accidental, unless he needed them at first because he was drawing the attention of a marshal on the grid, and then just entirely forgot that they were still flashing away. I'm guessing there's no repeater on the dash to tell him that the lights are still on, or he just didn't want to get distracted anymore, as now one of the Peugeot 306s gets very close to the pit wall as it streams across the line. But Jonathan Candler knew precisely what he was doing, 5.2 seconds behind Dewis, but will finish on the overall podium.
Yeah, and a Class C victory for him as well, so a familiar victory for Jonathan Candler. I think it's going to be Paul Chapman, which should be the next car that's going to appear, only just because right at the end Chris Pauley managed to narrow the gap to him again, and 0.056 seconds between them, so 56 thousandths of a second between them as they came across the line in the end for 4th and 5th positions, and the podium places in Class C. And it's going to be Simon Skirton and Ian Cooper in the debut to round out the finishers in the Armed Forces Race Challenge competition. Well, that's been excellent. Really enjoyed that, and the Armed Forces Race Challenge will continue with its next event being at Anglesey, so another northwest of the country circuit in July, when the 750 Motor Club head to Anglesey for a 2-day race meeting. So not too far along from Oulton Park. Just hop along the A55 if you want to go and watch some more 750 Motor Club racing that weekend at Anglesey. So it was a win then for number 65 Mark White in the Armed Forces Race Challenge contest. He completed 11 laps in the 20 minutes available to him, and he won the race by a minute, 8.463 seconds, one of the biggest victory margins I can remember in recent 750 Motor Club race meetings, certainly in a sprint race. Second went the way of number 13 Adam Dewis in the BMW. Good to see a BMW come home on the podium on this BMW Live Day. Third place went the way of number 1 Jonathan Candle, who won Class C. Fourth place number 78 Paul Chapman. in the Clio. 5th to number 888, Chris Pawley in another Clio. 6th was 26, Gareth Moss in the MX-5. 7th was number 88, the Simon Skirton car. The Renault Clio 182, as confirmation of that is now on your screen. 8th place to number 51, Ian Cooper in the Daewoo. Those with all the cars on the lead lap. 9th, the lap down was number 935, James Flint. Rounding out the top 10 and winning Class D was number 22, Luke Arpino. And a bit further back in 13th place was number 72, Andy Holmes in the MGB Roadster. So that is the result of the Armed Forces Race Challenge Contest. Just 2 more events to go here this afternoon. One is for the Race Parts Historic 750 Formula Series, and then we're going to complete our proceedings for the day with the Ultimate BMW race. Now, I know that there was a bit of barrier damage during the course of that race, so I'm sure the circuit staff and the officials will have a look at that just in between this race and the next one, just to make sure that everything is in apple pie order, ready for the next race, to make sure all is safe and secure. Reminder as well, more events to come here at Oulton Park. Full details on the Oulton Park website, oultonpark.co.uk. But the next major event here at Oulton Park is the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. That is here on the 21st and 22nd of June. The race is not on the full international circuit we're racing today, but the island circuit, which the British Touring Car Championship has used for the past several seasons now. And you can watch out for the BTCC, which is intriguingly poised as it reaches its, I think that's its halfway mark, is it not, at the next event at Oulton Park on the 21st and 22nd of June. So an important stage of the season before the summer break, I think, in the BTCC. Yeah, Johnny knows more about that than I do.
Yeah, I won't be back here at Oulton Park for that meeting, but although I'd love to be, don't get me wrong. But yes, next is Thruxton.
Yes.
Then it's Oulton Park on the dates you've said. Then they take pretty much the whole of July off.
Yes.
Before the first weekend of August, which kickstarts the back 5, if you like, in golf parlance, starting at Croft.
Okay.
And MSV circuit still to visit. Well, they're going to go back to Donington.
Yes.
On the Grand Prix circuit. Back to Brands Hatch.
Yes.
On the Grand Prix circuit. And that's it.
That's it, I think. Yeah, absolutely right. They've already been to Snetterton. They were there last weekend, weren't they? They were for the previous round, which was also at an MSV track. Just looking to see, I can see Kieran Mogg. He's now ready to speak to our winner from the Armed Forces Race Challenge race, and that was Mark White. Let's head down to him now.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm down here with the overall winner, Mark White, Class B winner as well. It's a relatively sort of easy race for you.
Yeah, though I didn't make it into turn 1 in first position, but by turn 2 it was a bit scruffy, but managed to get it back. But fair play to John, he was pretty close. I think he then made a mistake, maybe going into the second chicane, but then he was catching me up again, and then he disappeared. So I'm not sure what happened to him. So I hope he's okay. But yeah, car was faultless. Just another really good day.
Obviously, you've always kind of done well. You've always gone towards the top. Obviously, how does this track compare to some of the others? Is this one of your favourite tracks? Is it maybe not?
Do you know what? Last year I had a really good race here. We were bumper to bumper with 2-3 other cars, and it was really good. I like the undulation. I like the fact that there's a bit of an infield, a bit of an outfield, and the car does really well here. It's a great circuit for sure.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. It's a nice way to end the weekend for you.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Cheers, thank you very much. All right, if we can get Jonathan Candler now. Jonathan, could I just grab you over here for me? Perfect. So, P3 overall, P1 in class. Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah, just come away with 2 wins in class, absolutely chuffed. The car's been perfect, so it's been a pretty busy week trying to get it ready. So I just want to thank everyone and all my sponsors for getting me out, because without their help this week, I would have managed to get it out. So yeah, really grateful for everyone behind me, and I'm glad I've done the bit on track to kind of give it back to them. So yeah, proper chuffed.
You look like quite comfortable with the car track combination if you got 2 wins from today.
Yeah, just everything felt easy. To be honest, it felt easy. I was just in the groove and it felt great. So hopefully that will just carry on for the rest of the season, because I really felt in the groove today, and the results have showed that. So really happy.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on 2 wins.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciated.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, Luke, could we just grab you if you just come on over? So, P10 overall, P1 in class. nice little race for you.
Yeah, didn't go too badly. Sorry, I'm knackered. Didn't go too badly. Qualified on pole helped, and then just sort of pulled away. I was chasing the Clios they were battling. I don't know if that was on the feed or not, but I thought just stay behind them. I've got plenty of lead, so just try and be consistent was the goal. But happy with that.
No, congratulations. And Ian was mentioning on commentary during that race that you built this roof yourself. So talk to us about the process that you've had of developing the car.
So I've owned the car for 12 years now. It was a road car for 10 of those years. So I raced it last year in AFRC, and it didn't have a roof, and its main issue and limiting factor was the speed and straight line. Everything would go past, and then in the corners I'd make up the ground. So the idea, because I'm not allowed to take any weight away or add any power, the idea was to reduce the drag. So doing some research on good old YouTube, apparently having a convertible creates about 80% more drag than a hardtop. So I've seen these are really popular in the States, so basically got the inspiration from them, and then just made it completely by hand. It's all fiberglass and aluminium, and hours of filling and sanding. It's done me proud, and I did no testing before the races, so I was half surprised it didn't just come flying off. But I'm really happy with how it's going, and it's definitely better in a straight line. I can keep up the Class C cars now once I'm in their draft. So really happy with the results.
Do you have anything that you'd change if you did it again?
I'd probably make a mould. So rather than making a mould, I've done them as sort of raw fiberglass and then filler on top and then sand that down. It would have saved so much time and just made my life a lot easier if I made a mould, and then I could sell them. Because I've had a load of people asking, can I make one? No, it took 4 months, so no, never again.
No, I don't blame. Well, congratulations anyway. It's obviously worked, so you're very handy at fiberglass, so congratulations.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you. Move on to Andrew Holmes. Andrew, obviously right in the middle of the pack, as you always seem to be, but come away with the class win.
Well, there's not that many of us in the A class, so obviously John didn't finish because I know he was way off in front of me, but you've got to be in it to win it, I suppose they say. So I'm still there at the end. Not like part 2 of first race this morning, but we're getting there. So.
100%. And so let's talk about BMW Live and obviously Oulton Park. So firstly, talk to us about your experience of the event and how you found the track. Is it one of your favourite tracks?
Well, this is the first track I ever actually drove on a track experience day. I don't care to remember how many years ago. The old Formula First and an XR3, I think it was. I like these types of here, Cadwell. Yeah, I enjoy them. I think they're all right. Some of the more modern circuits can be a bit... they're wide and open, which admittedly suits my car. But, excuse me. But no, I enjoy it. Today-wise, to be honest, I haven't had much time to go over and see the BMs. But there's been plenty of those come across and engage with us. A lot of them... all age groups. There's a couple of youngsters let them sit in the car and, oh, Daddy, I'm a racing driver, and things like that. And some of the older guys, I used to have one of these and I've got one still, and things like that. So, it's been enjoyable in that respect. Yeah.
So a good day all in then?
Generally, yes. Yeah. Just see what the drive home's like later. Hopefully not too bad.
Well, fingers crossed for you. Congratulations on the win.
Yep, thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you very much. All right, so that's it for the Armed Forces Challenge for today.